Hello and welcome back to the Simon Says Farms channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about what I have in my kidding kit. So a lot of times when you're new at this, you're like, well, I've never done this before and I need to know what exactly do I need to help these goats have their kids. So number one is you're going to want a lot of towels. We have 8 girls giving birth within the next 2 weeks. And I've got about 8 towels here, but I will go through at least 2 or 3 of these towels per girl. So we're going to be doing some laundry. Towels, number one, cannot have too many of those. Second thing you're going to want are some stuff that can help after your goat has its baby. So this is Umbilical Spray. So I want to say it's a vetericin. I'll type it in the comment section below. But it's a nasal spray that helps dry out and protect from infections. We spray this right on the umbilical cord as soon as the baby is born, and then again maybe an hour later, just to can't be too careful with that. Another thing I like to have in my box is stuff. After the moms have their babies, their energy level's really low. Think about, a woman when they have their baby. It's exhausting. So a quick sugar treat after having their kids, they really, really love. So this is Molasses. I do a little glop, I don't know, of molasses. And that's going to help them get their energy back. It's like having a nice warm cup of tea after you've been outside shoveling snow or something. You're exhausted, and having a nice warm cup of molasses water for the goats is a really yummy treat and helps replenish a lot of the energy that they've expended while kidding out. Next, in case of an emergency, you're going to want to have oral calcium MPK. I've never had to use this, knock on wood, but this is a lifesaver in the event that one of your goats gets milk fever, or before they kid, it's called pregnancy toxemia. Very important. You don't want to have to go to Tractor Supply when your girl is in dire need of that. So have that on hand. This is light corn syrup. This is also in an addition to that molasses that you can give them after they have their babies. Just do a nice big squirt of that in their water. I like to warm the water up. That's good. First aid antiseptic. This is like an iodine. You can use this on their umbilical cord. You can also use this all over your hand if you have to go and assist at a delivery. Again, I just like to make sure that my fingernails are kept nice and short. My hands are clean before I go in. I don't use gloves or antiseptic. I do use a lubricant, which I don't see in my box of stuff, but I know it's in here somewhere in the barn. So I'm going to want to keep that on hand and find that at a later date. That is my lubricant. Thank you. I have helpers today. So yeah, just general lubrication. That's useful when you have to go in and assist. Some other things that I like to have after hand. 2 very crucial things that I keep in my barn all the time. B vitamins. You're going to give that to your goat. If she just blinks funny, you give B vitamins. That's what our vet always tells us. B vitamins really helps with their brain function and appetite and a lot of stuff. It's one of the things, it's a go-to when you have a sick goat. You're constantly injecting with B vitamins, which brings me to my next thing, Vagon Needles. You can get these from Tractor Supply or your local feed store. If you don't have that, you're going to want to order them online ahead of time. You can get them through Jeffers. I think even Chewy.com has them. I'm not sure. I get them through Jeffers, and in a pinch, I can get them right through my vet. But you're going to want several of those. And Banamine. Banamine is for pain. It's an anti-inflammatory and a fever reducer. So if your goat gets an infection afterwards, or just in general has a really tough delivery, you're going to want Banamine to help her with pain. This is available only through your vet. We have a really great vet. She knows we know what we're doing, but I don't administer this unless I talk to her. I know the dose, but I want her to know that I'm administering it in case she wants to check out the goat or whatnot. So this is really only through your vet. If you have to administer something orally like this calcium MPK, you're going to want to drench. These are readily available at Tractor Supply. Any local feed store should have them. Amazon has them, and your online pet stores have them. Jeffers, Chewy, stuff like that. Propionic paste. That's good if you have to administer antibiotics. That's going to replenish all the good bacteria that's located in their guts and make their bellies not feel yucky and shut down their systems, really. Shutting down the system is bad. No squirters. We had these when I had newborns. We used them to suck the boogers out of our babies' noses. You're going to want a couple of these in the event that you've got a baby who needs their airway cleaned. You don't want to have to be looking all over the place for it, so we keep everything in one nice box. After the babies are dried off, and you want to know how much they weigh, this is how we weigh our babies. I've got a reusable Walmart paper or plastic bag, very cheap, $1 at Walmart, reusable. Take grocery shopping next time you go out, or not, because it's had a live kid in it, and who wants to do that? Keep your bread next to your wet kid. Anyway, so this is a luggage hanger. I grabbed this off of Amazon. You can tell I really love Amazon. It's easy. I don't have to leave the house. It's here in 2 days. It's just a hook. You hook it through. You put the baby in the bag. You hook it. Ooh, this is a lot easier said than done. You loop it. Can you see? You loop it, and then there's a hook right here. You hook it here, and then there's a digital display right here on the front, and you can get how much your baby weighs. We like to weigh them. I like to weigh them at least once every 24 hours for the first 3 days, just to make sure that they're eating and gaining weight properly. The first 24 hours, it's likely that you're going to see a weight loss. That's also normal in babies. But as they're drying off, they're losing a lot of that water saturation that their body is holding on to while they're in utero. So there's a lot of evaporation that goes on after delivery. But by day 2 or 3, maybe 4, you should be seeing marked increases in their weight gain. So that's good to have. Let's see. Now, gloves. Again, I told you I don't go in with gloves. I go in barehanded. I make sure I'm really clean. I've got a, hand sanitizer system right at the door, and we just constantly are rubbing our hands down with antibacterial, and I've got antiseptic here if I needed it, but I find the gloves get in the way when you're trying to feel if a kid is mispositioned and you're trying to feel for a head or legs or a tail or anything. The gloves get in my way personally. So we kid out in March, and the last 2 years have been really cold. So part of my kidding box has stuff in it for me to stay warm. I have my coveralls and my Carhartt jacket that I wear. In addition to that, I have this nifty hood that keeps my head and my neck and most of my face warm, and it's flush to my skin so it doesn't get in my way when I'm trying to sit with moms or help them out. It's a good thing to have. Hand warmers, foot warmers, you can stuff these down your boots or in your, I usually wear a hoodie that has a pocket here, and I can put one in right in here and put my hands in. These keep my hands warm for up to 18 hours, they say. I don't know about that. So this is less important, but it's good to have in the event that you need it. We like to dam raise our babies, so everybody's on mom. But in the event that you've got a kid who is just refusing to eat, too weak to eat for mom, or a mom who is refusing to feed their babies, we have these pincher nipples that are meant for lambs. It's a good size for a kid. They've got a small enough hole in the bottom. I don't know if you can see these at all, but they're just little nipples that you put on the end of like a soda bottle, and they stretch on. They're kind of hard to get on, but they stretch on, and you can put the colostrum right in there to make sure your kid's getting enough to eat. Last but not least, I got to go back to how I stay warm. This is my sleeping bag. I've used it overnight in the barn. I slept right over there, and it's rated for, I think, 0 or -10, -20, I'm not sure. I think it's actually -20 or 30. I don't know. But I didn't cheap out on it. I didn't go with a really inexpensive one because I didn't want to freeze my butt off. Last year was pretty darn cold. We got down to about 18 degrees at night, and I was in here fully clothed in my coveralls and my Carhartt jacket and that little haboob thingy. It's not called a haboob, but it's called something like that. And I was still freezing. I have my Arctic muck boots that keep my feet warm, but I was still freezing, even all wrapped up in this sleeping bag. Once it gets to about 20 or 30 degrees, though, nice and toasty. So I'm not sure that the rating is too accurate on these things, but it's better than cheaping out and going with one that's rated for 30 degrees, and it is 30 degrees, and you're freezing. So go as cold as you can afford to go, and I think you'll be happy with that. We also have a hammock in our barn that we string from 6x6 posts, and that's how I stay up off of the ground. But I noticed that wasn't the ideal way to go after I spent a night sleeping in the deep litter over here. That deep litter is a furnace underneath you, whereas the hammock, you're floating in air, and that cold air is going underneath you too. So I kind of recommend, if you're gonna sleep in the barn, sleep on hay, like if in a hay stack, or if you're penned off all your goats and you've got your bigger area available. And I mean, I slept out there with a goat, and she didn't bother me at all. So I slept with them, but that was the most comfortable I had been. I bring out a pillow too, but I don't keep that in the barn for obvious reasons. Let's see, what else am I forgetting? So my intercom system, how do I hear and see what's going in the barn when I don't want to be in the barn? So I've got a camera system that's less than ideal, but it's better than nothing, I guess. Sometimes it is nothing though, so we're working on upgrading that system. I think there's 8 cameras on it right now. During the day, all 8 cameras work, but during nighttime, for whatever reason, the cameras go out of range. So we're working on getting it hooked up, wired. So right now it's wireless, and it's all going over our Wi-Fi, and we are in a metal box. So Wi-Fi cannot go through metal very easily. So I think that's why we're having issues with our wireless system. So we're working on wiring it, and then we'll see, kind of reevaluate based off of how it responds to being wired, whether we have to just go with a whole new system. But right now that's what we've got. We also have an intercom system that we plug in only during kidding season and like immediately after. That is kind of like I don't know, you can talk back and forth, but you can also just set it to listen only. So we have it set up to listen only. I've got one unit in the barn that is hooked up as the intercom, and I have 2 boxes in the house, one in our bedroom and one in our general living area, that I can hear everything that's going on in this barn. That helps sometimes when you've got a goat who is a little chatty going into early labor, but I've got some sneaky girls who don't make a sound, not before, during, or after kidding. Last year I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and all I heard was a kid crying, a baby kid crying over the intercom. I hadn't had any moms deliver babies yet, so I knew one of the moms had delivered. And sure enough, I got out here as she was dropping the second kid on the ground. She's so quiet. She doesn't make a peep. So I think I covered everything that I need to. I have one other thing. Can you pass me the Gluco Amino Forte? Alright, so this is new stuff. I have never used this stuff during kidding season, but I used it to nurse one of our bucks back to health last year. Vet product only. That's actually what I wanted to tell you guys too. Don't wait until you have a crisis to find a vet. You need to have a relationship with your livestock vet before kidding season starts. You should have somebody who you trust, who you've worked with before, who knows you, that in a pinch you can call and will be there. So a lot of times if you have an emergency and you don't have your vet lined up yet, you're scrambling. Time is of the essence. Have your vet in your phone, on your main screen as your contact. And that way, if in a pinch you need something, you can go to their office, or in my case, her office is her house, and pick up stuff. And have some of this vet-only supplies on hand so that you don't even have to reach out to her or him in an emergency. This all comes over time, too. Don't expect your first season to have everything on hand. Don't expect to be able to get through the entire kidding season without calling your vet. There's going to be things that are just, you're going to be in over your head, and you need to call your vet. So that relationship is really, really important. I'm a little hysterical when it comes to my goats, so at the slightest, what's the word I'm looking for? At the slightest onset of an emergency, if my goat is just starting to behave abnormally, I am watching her like a hawk. I'm going to reach out to my vet if I feel like she needs to be aware of what's going on so that she can help guide me through it, because I'm 5 years into this and I'm still not 100% capable of providing what they need. I can't do fecal samples. I can't do some of the things that she does. I don't have the drugs on hand that she uses to help revive a kid if need be. She saved Poppy last year because mom wasn't dilating, and Poppy had a dead twin inside of her, which was contaminating the whole uterus. So she helped us save mom. She helped us save Poppy. So there's things that I cannot do on my own. So that relationship is really, really, really important. I can't stress that enough. And do that before kidding season. You don't want to get into an emergency situation without a vet. So when Sadie had her babies and I heard her kids crying over the intercom, one thing you want to make sure is to set yourself up for success. So every night, go to bed, make sure you have all of your barn gear. So in my case, it's Carhartts, my jacket, my boots, warm socks. Make sure it's all right next to your bed. Pretend like you're a firefighter. They have all of their stuff ready to go. You just jump in. That way it's warm. You're not running all over the house looking for it. It's all in one area, so you're staying organized. It's just a peace of mind that when it's time to go, it's time to go. You're not going to be running around looking for stuff. The other thing that is really important is to have somebody on hand in the barn with you, handing you the towels, handing you your suction cups, your navel spray, your making phone calls if you need to call the vet. You need your hands. So you need somebody else in the barn that is going to run and get stuff and be able to call the vet. Make sure, again, she's on speed dial. Have her under vet. You don't want to have your person searching for the name. Just VET. Very quick. I have on my phone, when I go to contacts, I have a bunch of stars as like my most called people. Even on your home screen, you can set up on most phones just a widget or an app that is like your favorites list, and put your vet in your favorites when it's kidding time. She's already in my favorites because I call her all the time. But have your phone be as easily accessible for somebody who's not used to your phone to find your vet's contact information. So in a pinch, if you really don't have a vet in your area, which a lot of rural places don't, we're very lucky to have a goat knowledgeable vet. She specializes in goats in our area, but some of these rural places don't have goat vets. So there are Facebook groups. Goat vet is called Goat Vet Corner on Facebook. That is a great resource to read through posts in a pinch, ask questions, post pictures. These responses that you're going to get are from goat vets only. No other comments from people like me. I am not a vet. I cannot answer the question even if I know the answer. So you will get a vet answering your questions on that Facebook page. One of the other things you're going to want to educate yourself about going into kidding season is what's a proper presentation for goats when the kids come out. What's normal, what's not? How do you know when to call your vet? How do you know when your goat is in distress? I'll probably go into more of that later, as this is a kidding box. What's in my kidding box? So I'll go into more detail there with pictures of proper presentation, but educate yourself on that. That way, you're as prepared as possible. This will get you as prepared as possible tool-wise, but educate yourself. It goes a long way in preparing for kidding season as well. That is all I have, I think. If I can, I will list the products that I showed you in my description. I will post some websites, some links to the products that I posted in this video. Please, if you have any questions, please ask those below. Hit our subscribe button. Things are going to get crazy around here. We're going to be posting a lot of these how-to videos, my inside information videos. So please hit that subscribe button, the bell to notify you as soon as I post these. And we will see you next time.